Mel, where should the Giants go here with this? We know their GM, Dave Gettleman, loves the big guys. Could we see a run on thickness starting here?
Well, it's all about Saquon Barkley and your franchise, your potential franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones. You got to keep him upright. Too many hits on the quarterback. I thought he had a great rookie year, Daniel Jones, but an offensive tackle like Tristan Wirfs, Iowa, Jedrick Wills Jr., Alabama. And then there's a defensive stud there. Versatile Isaiah Simmons, outside linebacker Clemson. But you think about Gettleman, the offensive tackle spot, so critical for Barkley and Daniel Jones.
All right, listen, it certainly seems Dave Gettleman has made it clear he loves what he likes to call the hog mollies, the big guys up front. Isaiah Simmons is still there. Dabo Swinney has called him a beautiful football player. What will the Giants do? The pick is in. Let's go to the commish.
With the 4th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Andrew Thomas, tackle, Georgia.
Not a surprise that it's an offensive lineman, but perhaps somewhat of a surprise that it's this offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas. As a junior last season, he won the SEC's Jacob Blocking Trophy and was a consensus All-American. Now, what's really interesting about him is that not only did he play high school football, but as you can see, he was what we call a percussionist at Pace Academy, which is a fancy way of saying he played the drums. Now, his high school coach was Chris Slade, a defensive end who played a lot of years in the NFL, and he said, look, I'm glad that you play the drums, but if you take this football thing a little more seriously, you might play in the NFL. And DJ, that turned out to be very sage advice from Chris Slade.
Yeah, Trey, starting 41 games in the SEC. He's played left tackle. He's played right tackle. You know, everybody had these tackles in a different order. For me, he was my 4th offensive tackle, but I do feel like he has a very high floor. You know exactly what you're getting with him. He's going to be able to uproot people in the run game, and he's going to have a firm anchor in pass protection to hold up there. I did not see elite recoverability, elite quickness, or elite athleticism. I think that they've got themselves a solid, steady player, but I thought there were better options on the board at the position at this point in time if they were going to go tackle.
Lewis, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I kind of agree with DJ. Look, of all the offensive tackles, I really thought Jedrick Wills was one of the guys who I thought would go off the board first. But I can tell you this about Andrew Thomas. When you talk to people around the league, they feel as though he has absolutely pristine football and personal character. It's just some of the concerns for me as far as the power with which he can play with in the run game because he plays with a little bit of a narrow base. But I will tell you this, he has tremendously long arms. He is real good in his pass sets. And you're getting a quality kid, which really counts for something when you're drafting this high.
Thank you, Specialist Smith. And thank you to all our service members, both here and around the world. We cannot thank you enough for what you do and what you continue to do in these uncertain times. Thank you. With the 36th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Xavier McKinney, defensive back, Alabama.
All right, so the X-Man is off the board, which means it's time for another tattoo for Xavier McKinney. He has been doing that since he was 6 years old. He's got Marvin the Martian, the Minions. He's got a bunch of things on there. Now he's going to have a New York Giants logo as well. No surprise, we're starting to see these safeties come off the board. We talked about the tattoos. He's been tattooing players on the field. DJ, he didn't run as well as a lot of people thought he would at the combine. He was suffering from cramps, but this is a guy who made plays for Nick Saban on the back end.
Yeah, this is the best safety in the draft, and I think the Giants benefited from the fact that Xavier McKinney did not get a pro day to clean that 40 time up. This is a first-round player who can play as a high safety. You can drop him down in the box. He's got outstanding instincts. He also has the ability to find and play the football. And Lewis, what I love most about him is they had so many injuries at the linebacker position. They're able to drop him down in that nickel linebacker role, and he was able to communicate everything for their front. So you know you're getting a very smart, heady football player for the Giants.
Exactly, DJ. You know, that position that you're talking about, that nickel linebacker position, is called the money position. The money backer that lines up over tight ends and covers backs, and he can play the star position too, which is a true nickel position. You're right, he has tremendous eyes, tremendous ability to key and diagnose plays. His play entry angles are always good, always sound, and he will drop the hammer on you. And the thing that makes him so good is then you can put him back deep and he can range off the hash, play in the middle of the field. He's the total package. The Giants nailed this pick.
Well, remember, they had success with Landon Collins in the second round a few years ago. All right, the Giants are back on the clock. Have we seen Abby? At this point, I'm very concerned. Have we not seen Abby the dog, Joe Judge's dog, that was on the back page of the New York Post? Said he knew as much about anybody, what pick they were going to make. And there you see Dave Gettleman, the senior VP and general manager. The pick is in. Let's go find out where they're going to pick 99.
With the 99th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Matt Peart, tackle, University of Connecticut.
All right, Matt Peart, University of Connecticut, is off the board. Boy, hog mollies, look at the numbers. 6'6 plus, 313 pounds, Mel.
4-year starter, incredibly long arms, Trey, and a guy that is a developmental tackle. He started playing football until he got to high school. But you talk about a guy who's a run blocker. I like his ability to basically on the move, make contact and sustain, effective ceiling, gets to the second level with relative ease. As a pass blocker, you want to see him get a little stronger, but the feet are there, the athletic ability, he'll duck his head some, get off balance in pass protection, leans a little bit too much, needs some technique work, needs some coaching. But when you get a kid 6'6.5", 320 pounds, with the long arms that he has, the feet and the athleticism, and the will to really work at it and do what it takes to develop, an offensive line coach's dream is Matt Peart. This is a guy who has a chance maybe 2-3 years down the road, not as a rookie, you're asking too much, but 2-3 years down the road, getting coached up, getting acclimated to the NFL, and he has a chance. There's no question. He has a chance with the physical and athletic talent he has, and that strength quotient will keep improving. You got to like a kid who's a little raw, but has an awful lot of talent.
Mel, you're right, though. When he went to high school, basically football was an afterthought. He saw me in dining hall, the high school coach did, and said, "Hey, kid, what are you playing?" And he said, "I was actually going to do dance to get more flexible for basketball." He said, no, you're playing football. And that was pretty much the end of it. I started playing football. All right, the next pick is in. It is Darnay Holmes, the UCLA quarterback. And if you're thinking that name sounds familiar, you're right. His dad is Derek Holmes, a former NFL running back who played for the Bills, the Packers, and the Colts. But this is a corner, and Lewis, this is a smart kid. He graduated in 2.5 years from UCLA. One summer, he took a whopping 31 units. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you can see that intelligence on the football field too, Trey. He's a guy who goes in between playing outside and base, can move inside the nickel, in the sub, 5'9", 195 pounds, ran 4.48 in the 40-yard dash. Now, I will say this is a guy who has tremendous speed. He has the ability to flip and get vertical and really run down the field and carry vertical routes. Now, the problem is, though, at 5'9", he's a little bit smaller of a guy, so when he matches up on the outside in base against bigger wide receivers, he had trouble. He had trouble at the catch point when big wide receivers would push off on him. Now, I will say this, he is physical as far as when he gets up on the line of scrimmage. He does like the press, he does have good hands, and he will participate in the run game for a guy who's only 5'9", 195 pounds. So they'll move him inside, they'll move him outside, they'll see where he fits the best. He's going to struggle a little bit on the outside, but this is the typical kind of fourth-round pick that you just see where he fits in best.
All right, so Darnay Holmes goes to the Giants with that pick. And again, a second-generation NFL player now. And we have had a bunch of these in this draft. Meanwhile, as you take a look at the Giants draft, Darnay Holmes along with a couple of big tackles in Matt Peart and Andrew Thomas, who was taken 4th overall out of Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first in draft history. Shane Lemieux is off the board to the Giants. He's the first Lemieux ever drafted in the common draft era, going back to 1967. Now, Daniel Jeremiah, tell us more important things.
Well,
You see on the screen there the 52 consecutive starts. That speaks to the durability you're getting with Shane Lemieux. And his play style, it is mauler, brawler. He's going to latch his hands, he's going to drive you, and he's going to try and finish you. In pass protection at times, does not have great bend, doesn't bend his knees all that great, and he'll struggle. But when he's freed up, when he doesn't have a man over him, he is a nasty helper. If you're next to him and you're engaged and he's got nothing to do, he's going to find work. Trust me. He has that nastiness to him, which I love, and the durability. Ran a little bit better than I anticipated at that 5'1", 140. But what you get with him is physicality. You got to work with him in some of the pass protection issues.
All right, so Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman have to be very, very happy with what they're getting from Shane Lemieux. And there you see Joe Judge. He has been relaxed the entire time, which I also respect. And there you see Dave Gettleman, again, wearing the mask because he is recovering from lymphoma and he is much more susceptible. So Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge working through their draft for the New York Football Giants. Meanwhile, the Giants make another selection. Mel, it's Cam Brown, the linebacker out of Penn State.
Yeah, rangy kid, over 6'5", about 233 pounds. The value with Cam Brown is the versatility. He can do a little bit of everything. He can play the run, drop into coverage. You see a little bit on the blitz where he gets some hurries. The drawback is that he's not prolific. He's not dominant in any one area. I think when you look at him overall, the Michigan game, he had a career-high 10 tackles, had a hurry in that game. Very effective against Michigan State, active all over the field there. I was with him at the airport leaving the combine. Cam had just run a 4.72. He was disappointed, wanted to run about a 4.6. Long arms, athletic. If he was a little bit more dominant as a sack guy, probably would have gone higher, and that 4.72 at the combine did hurt him.
Another pick off the board for the New York Football Giants. It's outside linebacker Carter Coughlin. And it's safe to say that it's an outside linebacker, defensive end, however you want to do it. His grandfather, Tom Moe, played football at Minnesota, and it doesn't stop there. His father, Bob Coughlin, also played at Minnesota and was very active on the defensive side of the ball. His mother, Jenny, played tennis at Minnesota. And then his uncle, Mike, also played football at Minnesota. And we're not done yet. It's a very large family. Cole Kramer, his cousin, also played football. A lot of Gophers here for the Carter Coughlin clan. And I'm pretty sure Mel Kiper Jr. has a scouting report on all of them, including the tennis player.
Not quite, Trey, but Carter Coughlin in 2018 really was a sack artist. Had 10 sacks, and then he became a guy that teams knew they had a scheme to stop. They knew what they had to do, and he cut that sack total. Teams it down to 4.5. But against Penn State this year, dominant, 9 tackles, had a sack in that game. Ran 4.57 at the combine, at a 36 vertical. Doesn't have a great burst off the edge, but he's got active hands. He's tenacious. He has moves coming off the edge. He's not one-dimensional. He can drop into coverage, and he gets after the quarterback. He's relentless. I think it's a nice pickup. When you can run as well as he did, you test as well as he did, and you have all the production that Carter Coughlin had, and you have that great attitude, great approach. I think for Dave Gettleman and the Giants, why not take a shot in the 7th round? I've always said, take the guys who are athletes. If you get production with it, it's worth a 7th round pick. I thought it'd actually go a little bit earlier in this, maybe in the 5th round.
Well, listen, 3-time academic All-Big Ten Joe Judge has got to like that. He's also got to like the fact that Carter said his dad started breaking down film on him when he was at the breakfast table in the 3rd grade. Stay with us. The draft continues. On offensive weapons for Drew Lock. New York Giants take TJ Brunson out of South Carolina. Hey, DJ, tell us about TJ.
Well, Trey, you got a guy that was not invited to the combine, but somebody who was a 3-year starter at South Carolina and a 2-time captain, and this is what he does best. Tackle to tackle, come downhill, and provide some thump as a tackler. See him be able to fill, see, and sort, and then once he arrives, he is a very sure tackler. You can rely on him. He was given an award in the strength conditioning program. His work ethic is outstanding. Again, you're looking at somebody at this point in time, as with a lot of these guys, what can you do on special teams? That's how he's got to make this football team.
All right, moving on. Well, we have come to that portion of the draft, ladies and gentlemen. It is the final pick in the 2020 draft. It is going to be made by the New York Giants. Dave Gettleman, the general manager, and Joe Judge, the first-year head coach. So let's do it upright, even though we're doing this entire draft virtually. It's time for the final pick of the 2020 NFL Draft. It's Mr. Irrelevant. Out in California, we have Melanie Salata Fitch and her father, Paul Salata, who founded Irrelevant Week.
Hey, NFL fans. Thank you for saving the best to last. I'm Melanie Salata Fitch, and I'm here at my home in Newport Beach with my father, Paul Salata, who came up with the idea about celebrating Mr. Irrelevant, the last selection in the NFL Draft. For 45 years, Irrelevant Week has not only been about celebrating the last selection in the draft, but it's also about championing the underdog in all of us. We're excited to participate in the draft-a-thon. Irrelevant Week is going to be providing COVID relief to families in Orange County with children. And now for the moment that we've all been waiting for. With the final pick of the NFL Draft, tell us, who is Mr. Irrelevant 2020?
Thank you, Melanie and Paul. With the 255th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Tae Crowder, linebacker, Georgia.
Mel, we close it out with, shockingly, another SEC selection. Tae Crowder out of Georgia goes to the Giants.
I'll tell you, they keep bringing that talent every year. It's pretty amazing. You look at Crowder in the middle of the field there, sideline to sideline range. You're playing an elite program where you know you're well coached coming in, disciplined football player, breaks down pretty well in space making those tackles, and shows some decent range there. You think instinctively, can he get it done? Yeah, I think he could. Can he make this football team as Mr. Irrelevant with the New York Giants? Possibly. Yeah, a lot of football he played at Georgia, against the best in the business. And when you make that football team and you get on that field and you're a starter at Georgia and you're week to week making plays, you got a shot. There he is in coverage, making a play there. So for Tae Crowder, I gave him a free agent grade. Didn't think he'd get drafted, but here he is, Trey, as Mr. Irrelevant.
Lewis, what do you think of what the Giants did?
You gotta like everything that they did here with the. Yeah, you like a lot of stuff that they did. Andrew Thomas will step in and play for him at left tackle. Xavier McKinney, the best safety in this draft. Matt Peart, a developmental offensive tackle. Darnay Holmes, a nickel outside corner combination. Look, those first four guys right there should contribute immediately. You have to take your hat off to Dave Gettleman. He put together a solid draft for him. Now when the time is right, it's up to Coach Judge and his new coaching staff to see what they can get out of these guys as far as adding them to what is a developing roster and see if they can go ahead and improve this 2020 season when the time comes to play.